It's February. What do we do in February? We watch Sherlock. What's going on, devoted geeks? Thank you for hitting the play button. Welcome to Geek Devotional, a show from a couple of devoted geeks devoted to letting you know that you're loved. My name is Dallas Moore, and I'm so glad you decided to hit the play button. Do me a favor, if you like what's happening, hit the like button, share our videos, and if you want to be updated every time we make a post, hit the little bell symbol next to the subscribe button, and you'll get notified. Like when we do videos on Tuesday for our Extra Tuesday videos. Which, by the way, you should really check out because we made a really cool announcement on this past Tuesday's episode. Before we get started with today's episode, I'd like to give a special thank you to Pastor Scott Etheridge. He is the pastor of the Healing Place and also the really cool cat you guys saw last week doing Geek Devotions. He did a really cool show talking about 4 elements of a story, and guys, I'm telling you, it was really intriguing and it should make you think. So do me a favor, check that out. There will be a link in the eye right here and also in the show notes down below. Celeste and I were talking. We decided to do something a little special for this month. And for the next 3 episodes, we're doing a series on Sherlock. That's right, Sherlock. Everyone's favorite, narcissistic, crazy, I'm not sure how many other adjectives I can use to describe this detective who sees everything, plans everything, and you love to hate him. Gosh, I hate him, but I love him, and I love hating him, and I hate to love him. This is confusing. If you don't know who Sherlock Holmes is, that means you probably fell asleep in the 8th grade. I recommend you go back to elementary school, apologize to your 8th grade teacher, and take the textbook home and read tonight. If you're not familiar with the BBC show Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch, I really recommend you guys check it out. It's on Amazon, it's probably on iTunes, it'll probably be on Netflix next year. Guys, I'm gonna tell you something, this is an amazing show. I love detective mysteries. They're one of my favorite genres that are out there. It's one of the reasons why my favorite superhero is the great detective Batman. I'm just being real. But that said, there's something that really interesting that happened this in episode 2 of this past season that really it struck me. In the second episode of this past season, the episode opens up with Watson in a counseling session with a brand new therapist that he had just decided to meet 2 days beforehand. Showing up at their front door with a helicopter presence, speeding around is, well, their landlady, with Sherlock in the bonnet. What's a bonnet? That's a British word for a trunk. Check it out. Did I say that right?
You did.
Bam! Got my British car. Just a few minutes later, the main antagonist calls Watson and says, "Hey, I'm sending my vehicle over to pick you up so we can have a meeting." Watson asks, "How did you get this address? When did he tell you this?" Antagonist, 3 weeks ago. This unlocks part of Watson's mind that just explodes. I mean, he goes right there in that second because he realized that 3 weeks beforehand, Sherlock set forth a series of events so that he would be in that house at that time with that counselor for that exact moment. And his mind blew, and my brain went, that's interesting. In our lives, we go through all kinds of crazy stuff, and then somehow we find ourselves in a position that just doesn't make sense. We're not sure how we're in a position of authority, or we have a place of influence, or rather, we're just in a place of blessing. It just doesn't make sense. By all accounts, things should not be happening this way, yet they do. Why? Well, it's because if you serve Christ, He takes care of you. He blesses you. He orchestrates things to work out in your favor. Without getting into a slew of conversation debates between different ideologies and theology, we know this to be a fact because of Scripture. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 reads, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, and for those who are called according to His purpose." In that passage, Paul is telling the church in Rome that in God's beautiful foreknowledge, He has orchestrated certain events to work out for the good of the believer. Now, some people have taken that and they've kind of twisted it, and they made it out to sound like that everything's going to be roses and that things are going to be easy. That's not exactly the case. Let's look at another verse in Jeremiah where also people have kind of taken and twisted around. Jeremiah 29, verses 10 and 11 read, "For thus says the Lord, When 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will visit you, and I will fulfill to you my promise and bring you back to this place. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Again, both these passages have been grossly abused to make people feel like that if they serve God, that He's just going to bless them, He's going to take care of them, and life will always come out roses, that they're going to have all kinds of money and all kinds of crazy things going to happen for them. In turn, some people believe that if life is hard and they're going through heartache and that life is it's a horrible mess, that somehow they displease God and they're away from Him. But that's not always the case. Contextually, what's happening is right here, God is speaking to these people saying, I have these plans for you to have hope and peace, and in the future that things will happen for you that are great. But this is on the verge, right before He sends them into captivity, right before He allows them to go through some of the hardest times in the history of Israel. Devoted geeks, life is not always roses. And it's okay. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It doesn't mean God's punishing you. It may just mean that God's trying to wake you up. That He's trying to wake up inside of you strength, hope. He's trying to wake up inside of you something beautiful because He has a purpose for it. He has something that He wants you to get out of this time period that's rough, because He knows that when you do, you're going to accomplish great things. But most importantly, when you get through it all, if you go back to Jeremiah and read this, the people fell deeper in love with who their God is. So it could be that during this time period, God's just trying to remind you how great He is, how much He loves you, and how much you can love Him. So don't be discouraged, guys. Don't fall flat on your face. He is orchestrating things to make it well for you. Just like Sherlock orchestrated a whole bunch of crazy stuff for the good of Watson. Even though it was really hard for Watson. If you watch the episode, you know what I'm saying. This was a train wreck. This was an emotional, heartbreaking train wreck. This whole season. And you may be going through something crazy right now. That's going to be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But I promise you, He's got something for you special. And when you see it, when it comes to fruition, you'll go, that's it. I see why He allowed me to go through these things. You'll see something beautiful. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Geek Devotions. I really appreciate you guys being here with us. Do me a favor and don't forget to follow all of our social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Simply look for Geek Devotions. Also, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Help us beat the 100-person mark. We're filming this on Tuesday, so I don't know if we passed it by now or not. But if we haven't, guys, help us out. We are so excited. We're this close. I can taste it. I can taste it on my tongue. That's weird.
That's kind of
but
gross.
I can taste it. So help us out, guys. We need you. We need your help.
Yeah. Okay, and in spite of that, don't forget to check out our episode last week with Pastor Scott Etheridge. He did amazing. Loved it. Also, that's too many alsos.
Hello.
Oh well. Anyway, Dallas went and guest hosted. He went on Excalibur's YouTube channel. And he got to do an episode with them talking about comics. Talking about the comics that were coming out this week. So if you don't know what came out this week, you haven't been to your local comic shop, you don't read comics, but you don't mind hearing people, talk about comics. Check it out.
Yes, check that out. Because it was really fun and really exciting. There was a really interesting question of the week that we did on it. Has nothing to do with our question of the week, which is simply this. Taking a little more of a serious note, going off of what we talked about today. Can you tell us a story about when you went through something? There was a crisis moment. There was a moment that it escalated for you. There was a discovery of who God was, and then there's a change in your life. And that change, what accompanied that change, you realized that God had been taking care of you all the way through. Just like what we talked about today. What was a moment for you leave a comment down below. Tell us your story. Celeste, how about you? Was there a story for you?
Oh, yes, but it's a little bit long, but real short version. Went to a Bible college. Ended up losing funding for the Bible college because I don't know if anyone else knows this, but in 2008, all the really small school loan companies went under. And so the company that funded my school did not exist anymore. So ended up having to come home, which at the time I was really aggravated about because it wasn't what I needed to do. I needed to do this. I was on this track. I needed to go here, do this. But God needed me in Louisiana. And that was also before I met you, so. Ta-da!
There you go. All right, for me, guys, years ago when I was a teenager, my family went through a really, really hard time. And short story is simply, we got basically left abandoned and homeless here in Shreveport. We're originally living up in Ash Grove, Missouri, and through a series of unfortunate events, not related to Netflix series, we ended up here. But when we got here, God did some really amazing things for us. He took care of my mom, my sister, and I every step of the way. And today I can look back and go, this was God blessing me. This is God taking care of me. This is God providing for my family and I. And it has been an amazing ride. And it's been a wild ride. We might tell the whole story one day.
One day.
But
maybe we'll do that one day. Just tell testimonies.
Yeah. But I saw God move every step of the way. Now, again, it took me a while to see it because I was pretty angry at the time. But God brought healing to my life and took away that anger for me. So I appreciate it. So, guys, that's the question of the week. Leave your stories down below. Let us know. And also, if you need prayer, let us know, guys. We'd love to pray for you and with you. So, from us here at Geek Devotions to you, our beautiful devoted geeks, peace and love.